Hello, welcome back to Bald and Board Games. I'm Bald.
I'm Board.
And we're traveling through time to give you a review of Anachrony.
Yes, we're back to the future.
Yes, I mean, kind of.
Yeah.
Mindclash Games.
Yes.
As well, by the way.
Anachrony, as Nick mentioned, a space travel game.
Space travel.
Yeah, space travel.
It's time travel. You're not going to space.
Time and space. Space doesn't have to be outer. I didn't say outer space travel. I just said space.
Space travel. I went from this space over to that space.
Yeah. If I move seats, that's space travel. But yeah, we'll go through our typical review process, going over the 4 major categories of storage, rulebook, gameplay, and design. Tell you our thoughts. We will, similar to Tehekon and some others, we'll talk about the main game with, in our case, 1 expansion add-in because it affects a player. Mm-hmm. All the other modules and expansions we'll talk about separately, and it won't be in the main part of the review.
Well, not even all of them. Like, we haven't
or
been able
at
to
least some of them that we have played.
Yeah, exactly. And if this is your first review video, we do review videos a little differently than a lot of other reviewers do. So we have those 4 categories. Those categories are also weighted differently. So our scores are heavier in some categories than others. So gameplay is the heaviest, followed by rulebook, then design, then storage is the last weight. Then we score it individually. And then we will get the average of our individual scores to get our combined Bald and Board Games score. And the average of all those scores will give the final Bald and Board Games score, which will determine if this is a perfect, which means you get 5s in everything, a must play, which means you get a 4 or 4.5, a just okay, which means you got a 2.5, 3 to 3.5, or a don't play if you're anything less than that. So, first up, so it's a little differently, is storage.
Yes, it is.
Yeah.
Oh, you're doing.
Yeah, go for it. Throwing them off.
So storage, we got a box that stores some stuff. So, as you can see, what's already in the box is a bunch of the player trays. So, as you go deeper, so you have a bunch of player trays. They all line up. Boom. Then you have
medium for you.
Okay. Yeah. Then you have all of these other trays. So trays that hold the expansions, trays that hold the components, trays that. That's pretty much it for trays. And then you have the rule books and the game board and everything else on top. So there's, again, because there's multiple modules, there's a lot of stuff that goes in this box. Mm-hmm. It is well done, where all of the trays are not just like sliding around. They're all nicely placed. They even built one tray that has this like little lip here available to slide.
Right away.
Yeah.
We spent like 5 minutes looking for that tray when we went away last time.
That helps you keep the player boards structured in so they're not sliding around. So it's very well done from that aspect. Everything has its own tray. It's easy to have. We can look over here. Boom. There's a components tray just sitting on the table. Boom. More components trays just sitting on the table. So it's great to take out of the box and have the components trays. It's great for all the player trays. You don't have to take the ones out that you're not using. The only thing I don't like is when it comes to all of these expansion trays, it does not easily separate all the expansions. There's some expansion stuff kind of mixed in where like you have different decks of cards here and you got to look for certain cards with certain symbols because they go to an expansion. They're not necessarily in the expansion box. Which can get annoying because there is a bunch of expansions. So you got to look for all these symbols, and one of the trays doesn't fit all the tiles perfectly. So you have to put 2 normal tiles into an expansion box to keep it to fit, or get it to fit correctly. So because of that, I'm going to dock it slightly because it impacts how easy it is to get in and out of this box. I'm going to give storage a 4.5.
All right. So, storage. I love that everything has a tray that gets put away. Can you actually give me the booklet? Because this went into my for storage.
That one, yes.
Yeah, so this is the saving grace for this whole thing. This is literally a tray manual, which not only when you got the game showed you where everything went.
Because it all came in boxes and punch outs and everything separately.
Yep. But it also tells you in the back here kind of the order to get it all back in there, which is incredibly helpful. Yeah, so for the expansions, so the major components have their own trays. The cards are the things that have like one tray for all like the cards from every part of the game. Excuse me. So it doesn't bother me that they're not all in their individual trays. And I even think this guy here, which is the one that where you'd have to move the pieces off from, like this in general, it seems like it doesn't sit exactly flush. It's tight, so it's fine. So we probably could fit those two others in there. I think that was just us being anal when we were putting away last time. But I'm not going to belabor the point. I love that everything has its place. I love that there are trays, if you can go to 4, like this, that serve a purpose in the game as well as storage. So this is what they sit in. All you do is take this out of the box, put it next to the board, and you use this during the game. Much like all of the components that have their own tray as well that we showed off earlier. So for me, all of that, especially because it comes with this. If it didn't come with this, I might have docked it slightly because it would have been a pain to remember how everything went back in. But because it comes with this and everything goes back in nicely and flush, I give this a 5 out of 5. All right. Rulebook time.
Yeah, so
and
we
play raids.
have multiple rule books. So we have multiple rule books. We have player aid.
We do.
What
so,
is your thoughts?
So what I like about the rule books is that they don't just shove everything into one big rule book. Because that would have been annoying if you were playing the base game and you had to flip through modules to get to some of the rules. So the Essentials Edition, that's your main rule book here. This, very clear. Not overly wordy. Like there's some areas like this that have some more words, but for the most part, there's diagrams everywhere that are going over what you're doing. It's also color coded. So the big purple lettering for the new phases, the red for like, hey, important, remember this. The notes for some hints or like, hey, by the way, don't forget when you do this, yada, yada. I think that's great. It reads very quickly despite being so long. And it's also very easy to understand. Our first time through, it took a minute to read through because we weren't familiar with the game, so we had to like stop to like, wait, what does that mean? What's this mean? But after playing one time, I was able to bust through this one, and this one. I think in just shy of an hour, just kind of re-going through to review. So it reads very easily. It's not confusing, which is fantastic. And so, like I said, each expansion has its own rulebook where it labels the different modules in here and goes over each one, like their setup, what changes there are to set up as well right away, saying, hey, setup changes, if you're using this, do this. So you can literally take the module you're using, okay, what changes are there, make those changes, go to your next module you're using, if you're using more than one, and do the same thing. And then in the end of each module section, I'm not going to find it right now on stream, you won't be able to read it anyway, but it goes over, hey, we don't recommend using this module with this one because it kind of confuses things or it's incredibly difficult, but we do recommend using this combination. That was a very nice touch, which showed that they test played their game a lot to say, hey, these ones are chef's kiss if you put them together. These other ones, don't do it. Like the Doomsday module, which we don't have out here right now, every other module is like, hey, do not play with Doomsday. And that's probably because if you did that, you wouldn't be able to focus on Doomsday. And with Doomsday, you're pushing and pulling your tracks like tug of war to where you need to really be able to focus on that, and that's probably going to win you the game, which I think is really smart. You have the Classic expansion, same thing. All the rule books are very straightforward. It's very clear, like what module you're using. Boom, 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 boom. Goes through the area, and like that's it for that module that we have here. And then it goes to the next one, which we didn't end up using. So I think the rule books are phenomenal. I think that the player rates are very easy to use. The iconography for the impact that happens on the back, the phases on the front. There is one problem that I have with the rulebook, and there's occasionally times where it doesn't specifically say you can or you cannot do something, right? Did it? This actually might be an us thing. I might be wrong. It was with this.
No, it's not an us thing. It's a rule book thing.
Did it say in there?
It does not.
That you had to complete it?
Oh, that part, yes.
That's what
but
it
it doesn't say you have to do this.
Right.
And then the whole -3 thing.
So that's the one thing that it does not clarify, and there might be more because we haven't gone through every single expansion. But here, there is a -3 token that goes down on the last spot for this area, right?
Based on player count.
Based on player count. So if we have 3 people playing, okay? So you have to meet the qualification on your player board here, the top part at least, to be able to do this action, which is to evacuate. What it does not elaborate on is if you don't evacuate, do you still get this -3? And the reason why that can be an issue is because if only one person evacuates here and the other 2 people don't, who gets the -3? Like, both of them technically didn't go. So we assume both players get -3, or is it simply that you can't win the game if you don't evacuate? Like, is that a prerequisite to even have a chance at winning? Do you have to evacuate to be able to win? So it doesn't go over that in the rule book in any kind of clear way. It just says, hey, to do this, you have to meet that. So it seems like this is just points, but then it doesn't go over this whole -3 thing where if you don't do it, can you just not do this to avoid getting the -3? Who knows? Because that would be very beneficial.
Yeah.
So that's the only issue that I have with the rule books and stuff. So I give this a 4 out of 5 specifically for that, because that could drastically turn the tides at the end of the game.
All right.
Your turn.
So, I'll start with the main rulebook. Yep. So first off, one of my favorite things, I love the components list. Very clear. Here's all the components. Here's what they look like, and here's how many there are. It's something that we've had multiple games we've looked at where it's like, here's a list of components, but it doesn't tell you what they look like. They just tell you the names, or you don't even get amounts. So I love how they set up their components list. General setup here, very clear. Similar to the other Mindclash game of Emberheart that we've reviewed, it's very clear on where everything is going.
You're good. I'm just doing something.
So it's very clear on where everything is going to go, how it sets up, how players sets up in the player board. It goes over the game turn here. And then, to Nick's point, each section is clear. It is a little wordy. They do nicely put, like, important in red, note in green of some clarification information that you might want to reference. There's pictures and diagrams set up to indicate things from those sections as well. So, does a really good job going through everything. What I will do is flip back here. And then you have back here in this book a bunch of information on a bunch of the different things that you can have. So, different cards that could come out, different building tiles, the super projects, the endgame victory cards, all those things are in the back, like an appendix. And then on the very back, iconography.
Yep.
Great.
Yep.
I'm not going to labor the point. The other two rulebooks, to your point, go over the expansions. The one thing I will call out that I really enjoyed is, let me find the correct one. Here we go. Pioneers of New Earth. It shows right here a picture of the symbol that is on the cards and tiles and everything for this expansion. So when it comes to putting the expansion away, you can easily see which tiles go where. I love that. Because it's one clear symbol here and there. It's the same thing. Easy to figure out.
Nice.
So those two... Oh, over here. My bad. So there's that. A few things I don't like. One, I 100% agree. This does not have clarification. I'm going to talk about it more in gameplay because I think it impacts gameplay more. But I do agree that the rulebook doesn't really talk about this in good enough detail. There's one other thing I don't like, and this is literally the reverse of Teotihuacan's review for this. This is one of the few games I want an appendix. Because if I go here, and perfect example, super projects. Here's a list of super projects. These are only, not even all of them, these are some of the super projects in the base game. If I want to know, and we're playing with expansion, I have to go to the expansion book, go to the back of that book, and find the super projects, wherever they are, here we go, for the expansion. This is very easily done in an appendix.
And then if it's an appendix, you could have pictures.
You can have pictures. You don't even need to have these separate. You can just put a list of all super projects because the name is there. And you just find the name. Whether it's expansion or not, you just have a whole list. So that's the one thing I really don't like, because we were flipping back and forth from all these different books trying to find information, and there was some super project, I think it was, or some other tiles
We couldn't find.
that it wasn't even in here. And we're like, well, what exactly does this symbol mean? So we had to infer, I think once or twice, in house rule, what we thought it meant.
Oh, you know what those could have been? I didn't think about it at the time, actually.
What?
There was, I forgot that there was so some of the projects, which is why there's probably 2 extra ones as well, was actually a addition that got thrown in.
Oh, the promo super projects.
to the game. Yeah, right there.
It's right there.
That's most likely the ones you're looking at. I completely forgot about that at the time.
This might be it.
Yep. That's also why there's the 2 extra
Yeah.
in this, too.
Regardless,
Now, The appendix would help.
Even though, yeah, appendix would make it way better. So I'm going to dock that on the rulebook score, and
Yep.
I'm going to dock it a little bit harsher than normal because it did take a significant time playing the game, flipping back and forth to figure all those things out. So I'm going to give it a 4 out of 5.
Bet you're going harsher than that. Like, oh, damn.
Well, no.
How's it going?
Well, I was going to give it like close to a 5 because I was like,
Yeah.
it's really good, but that it added 20 minutes to gameplay probably between all the times going back and forth to the book.
Yep.
Just to look up things to make sure we were understanding projects or whatnot clearly.
All right. Next up is design.
Which is now me. I'm like, this is weird.
It is, I know. Usually we're the other way around, so I did this way just to throw them off.
So design. There's a lot of things. So we'll start at the medium view here. You can see all the game boards. There is some cool artwork in the background. So it gives you that aspect of not only that you're time traveling, but like it's almost apocalyptic. Mm-hmm. So you have like things getting destroyed. You have dark colors. I thoroughly like that. You have this separate board with the flux cores, and it gives you a story explaining that these plants harness some power. So that's really cool. So artwork, great on the game boards. Phenomenal. For iconography on the board, everything is very clear.
Yeah.
It shows here, if it has a symbol that has a circle underneath it, it's a cost. If it has a symbol such as here without a circle underneath it, it is a gain of a resource or whatever it is. So very clear how to gain, when you have to, or when you gain, when you pay. Very clear here. Oh, you can only use this type of person, and the person has the exact same symbol on their person and same color.
Yep.
These you can't. These you can use, but you can't do that. Very clear iconography across the board. Player board side, we have a lot. I know I'm not fully in view here, which is fine. There's a lot of stuff going on the player board. Most of it is very clear. I did have one thing to call out, and I forgot it. I do like the design of all of these little areas. Again, everything's very clear on what's going on. You have different tracks here and there. There was one thing I was going to call out. I don't know what it was. I don't know.
Probably where you put your resources.
Oh, yes. There isn't really an area to put your resources. It actually doesn't bother me that much. I just usually put them off to the side. I did this because that's where it was just easier right now. So that doesn't really bother me actually at all. Because I usually use the whole offside of the board, where you guys use the board. There is, let's go to this view. Here we go. This is one of the spots, though, where iconography is not overly clear. And that's where you have to use that appendix. There's a lot of things going on in these super projects. One thing we had an issue understanding fully was the cost. There is some scenarios where it shows certain things where it's like, oh, do you have to have any time, or is it one of these and one of those? So there wasn't really a clear example in the book that showed you how to pay the cost for all of these. Like, this is a clear or statement, but not everything was super clear from the book. But other than that, I thoroughly like design. I think they made all the decks of cards very clear on what goes where. Again, it has symbols on the decks of cards here that shows this is from that expansion versus the normal areas. So I give design a 4.5.
4.5555. All right. Okay, so things I agree with. The iconography, I think, is very clear, very easy to understand. Like any iconography, it takes a second to learn. I think once we learned those up there, we didn't have an issue with it going forward. I think the only time that we had an issue is with the actual ability itself discerning what it meant. And again, I think that's more, in my opinion, more of a rulebook appendix issue than a gameplay or design issue that's there. Because you can only design things so simply. But again, once you learn it one time, it carries over to other cards, and it's easy to continue. What didn't you say? So, component-wise, I love the metal components.
Yeah, I didn't go over it.
Again, which are, I think these are more deluxified, but this is the big box we're reviewing. So I love all of these metal components, these plastic components that they have. It's very tactile. These ones that feel weighted differently. The fact that they're weighted at all, which is great. The water, just love all that. Anything that is acrylic, I like that. The thing I think that you did not mention is the mechs. Are we in center screen? Let's go center screen.
We are now.
So these guys here, can we get in there? There we are. These are unique to each faction, and they're very different. These are a lot of fun. And the design that you have, the people going into them like that, it's so fun. And the fact that like they don't go in snug, so you're not ruining the pieces by putting them in there, which was a worry of mine when I first got this. But the fact that they actually just go in nicely and they sit and like they're in that mech, like that person. And the fact that the symbol shows still is incredible, because there's certain things, as you pointed out, you can only do with certain mechs, so you know they're there. So then also when you're looking to use the ability that comes with this expansion to blink, you can look across the board and okay, who do I have? Where are they? Okay, that's the one I'm going to blink over to here to do whatever. The fact that these have built-on colored bases as well. You know, there's nothing that's going to fall off. It's already there. It's just very sturdy, very, very well designed. For the iconography for the player boards down here, I like that these clearly state their cost for building on those areas, and that the areas are outlined. And this is, again, just very, very clear. To your point, the artwork, I think, is phenomenal as well. I think, again, everything, once you learn what it is very, very clear, and it's easy to just let the game flow. The only hang-up that we had was the iconography for the super projects, really, on what to do. And just case in point in how well the iconography is for design, it's my last point. We were able to teach this game with 2 modules to someone who has never seen or played this game within 30 to 45 minutes. And that's only having played it once ourselves. Now, that person is a gamer. They understand worker placement, which helps. But still, the fact that we can go over something this size that quickly is just kudos to their iconography and their design of the game. So I gave design a 5 out of 5.
Expected.
Expected.
All right, and our final category, which is our heaviest weight, is gameplay.
Yes. All right, so rundown of gameplay. Typical worker placement. You're putting mechs out. They need a person to be put out. They need to be charged up to begin with, which you use resources to charge them up. You get resources if you have empty spaces. They go out. You're putting down tiles onto the timeline as well, which gets you resources at the beginning of each round. And during the round, you can go back in time to then pay a resource to clean up your timeline, so that way you don't get these little paradox tiles that are here, which will give you anomalies, which are bad, which take up spaces where you could build buildings. And then during the game, you are trying to manage your resources, trying to build buildings, trying to accomplish goals with some of the modules that might be there. Really typical worker placement stuff, like use your materials to do things to get points. Simple as that. Throughout the game, you're going to be using people in your mechs, and you have to balance out who you use, because on your board they will go to sleep after they're being used, so they're exhausted. You have to wake them up. They are kind of a resource in their own right that you're using, your workers themselves. And you are slowly working towards the impact, which is here, which is when this board actually flips over and reveals this, and then you'll end up having locations that get closed down little by little, which are pushing endgame. Very simple, just the game. So what I love about the way the game plays itself, before I talk about any of the modules that are kind of on there, I like the timeline situation. I like that turns move quickly in the beginning and slow down at the end. Typical worker placement stuff, of course. But when the impact hits, it helps mitigate this because it locks down 2 spots on your board. So you have fewer mechs you can put out there. So you actually have fewer moves, unless you're playing with certain people, that you can do near the end. So it doesn't feel like your last 2 turns take substantially longer, which they could if you had all of your mechs out there. I think that's great. The balance of free actions that you can do and your one action that you can do by putting a mech out, I think is amazing. I think that it's a fun choice on what you're going to do, on what you're going to build to get more free actions potentially. Your characters you have to even do actions in the first place. is another resource you're trying to get to manage. I really like the material collection aspect of this. I feel like there's always a way to get materials. There's always a way to get whatever you need. You just have to make the choice to do it. It's like water is something you need a lot in this game, but you have to prioritize getting water. And if you don't, then you're following around. You're gonna have to spend a good amount of time getting water. Like it forces your hand. It's so that there is a consequence to your actions, which I like about this a lot. With the Fractures of Time module that's added on, it adds in a bit more comboing that you can do to where your people are no longer one-time use only. You can use, what are these called again?
Flux cores.
Flux cores, and you put them onto your board, roll 2 dice here if you're not using the guy who comes with the Fractures of Time, the operator. If you're using a regular person, roll those 2 dice to see if you're going to get one of these guys' glitches put on, which here I would not, because I have 5 spaces open because I upgraded this. But if I had 4, that 5 is higher than my 4, I'd have to put one of these down on whatever this one is, which is the hexagon, which would be on one of my hex areas where the mechs go. So this slowly starts to limit what you can do. So it's a push your luck situation. The way that you can control your luck, which is nice with this, is by upgrading this area with these breakthroughs. You put those on, can upgrade them over time. They not only give you points for endgame, but they allow you to control your luck, which is great for someone like me who rolls like shit. So games like Hercules and the 12 Labors, I was able to get through because I knew how I typically roll, so I was able to cater my abilities to help counteract how terribly I roll. So same thing goes here, which is phenomenal. So there's a lot of pathways to go about this game, especially if you add on the different modules. And there is no one pathway that's going to win you the game. Much like we just played and reviewed Ember Heart as well. Ember Heart is the same way, also made by Mindclash Games. They really have a grasp on, hey, if we're going to do this worker placement thing with multiple pathways to win, we have to balance all of them so you can do really kind of whatever you want to try and win the game. I will say that to have a chance of winning, you kind of need to focus. You need to eventually choose a pathway to focus on.
Oh, yeah.
You can't do everything. Because if you do, you're not going to get a lot of points, you're not going to get very far down. You need to end up going down one way to win. But it is equally easy for each person to go down one way. There is a small amount of luck that could help you. And with this board over here, which is a module, which isn't really going into our official rating for this, it's just kind of here because we played it last, to illustrate some ideas. Here, you have an area where you can kind of control your luck. If you go here earlier, you do better. But the cards that are random can really give you some a lucky stroke here. So this is kind of what won me the game when we played, is I got a card that allowed me to pull 2 more cards, and so I pulled the lower ones because I would have an automatic win by doing so, and that ultimately gave me a crap ton of these cards, which helped me with an objective, which helped me win. So, the last kind of thing that I'll say here that I enjoy about this are the objectives. I like that there are a number of objectives that are randomized, that are put out there. There's actually a module where you are crafting the objectives as you play, which will probably be the next one we play with when we do play this again. So that way there is more of that variety that's in the game. So I love everything about this, except for one small thing. And that's the time travel aspect of the timeline. I like that you can go back in time, and you can do it multiple times in your turn, depending on if you have the correct building to do so. I don't like that there's no way to go forward in time after going back in time until the end of the round. I wish that there was more flexibility there, where you still need a building to do it, of course. You need to build something to allow you to go forward and back, but I wish that there was an ability to do that, ability that would let you go forward after going back or whatever the situation is. It would add just more flexibility to this whole situation, to where I could go back here because I have the resource to do that thing, to accomplish that super project. And then if I manage to get enough to go and do this one, I want to be able to go back up to this one to then do my stuff there to get that one. And I think that would just kind of, it would make the game a bit more fun in that aspect. It feels a little bit restrictive here to where you really have to choose when you go back, if you even want to go back to do that. But overall, love gameplay with that one small caveat. So I give gameplay a 4.5 out of 5.
All right. So for my gameplay, as we both discussed earlier, the New Earth board, which is this one over here, we'll talk about more in thorough after our final review of the expansions. That's not part of the gameplay rating. For me, Fraction of Time is because that is directly a character that was played, so it matters for how gameplay played. So I'll start the same way, generically. I like that you have options. So to your point, you don't have to focus on exactly one thing. Water is very important, but you can do different things. So if one player's like, boom, I'm going to construct. Well, one, there's 3 spaces to construct. That's beneficial. But if the last one's taken up, you can still do it here, or you can just orient your turn and get some resources or something, and then construct twice the next turn, or whatever it might be. So there's a bunch of different options. I love these 2 decks of cards here, where it randomizes what resources are here and what individuals are available here. So every round, you don't really know who you're going to have available. So you can't necessarily perfectly plan next round because you don't know if you're going to be able to get the people you need. For the Fractures of Time, it just gives you some more resources. It also gives you access to these technology cards, which are kind of fun, which give you other endgame scoring and different abilities that you can use depending on what era it happens in. I thoroughly love those. And then Nicholas brought up the blinking, where you can use someone twice and be able to hop around. I'll talk more about that when we talk about the expansion, but I enjoy that aspect where you can just be like, I'm going to do this, get a resource, and hop over there and construct with the same person. Alright, player board. This board here is Fractures in Time. I'm not going to overly harp on it. You covered it. You're able to use these cores to blink. You got to roll the dice. You potentially could have a hazard and get the paradox tokens, which could lead to an anomaly. And then the anomaly gets stuck in your player board, like down here or wherever. And now you have to not only get -3 victory points, but if you want to get rid of this, you have to pay for it. Because if you want to build a whole row, so for example, I believe it is Nick's player requires to have 3 yellow things here. This does not count, even though it's in a space. You have to get rid of this and then build 3 to do the end game for down here. So I like how this all works. You have this here where you have a paid action. You can pay water and use a scientist or administrator to refresh your people. The iconography is very clear. It goes from here to here. You could use it as a free action, but you're going to suffer a decrease of victory points. So I like that that's available and that there's other free actions that you can do, such as like place these markers. So you're not forced to use all these people to do all of this. Some of them are free actions. Those are the things I like. And I love the super projects. I love that every era has a super project where you can focus, man, I need all these resources to get that super project, but it's worth it at the end. It gives you a bunch of victory points and abilities mid-game.
I like that you can see the next one that's coming.
Yes. And once you've passed an era, because you can travel back in time, you have others available to you. So if you skipped over one and no one did it, you can still go back and do it.
Yep.
So thoroughly love that. Now, the things I don't like. Number one, and this is something that Emberheart did really well, and we utilized it a significant amount of times each, is Emberheart gives you 2 locations on the board where you can just put a person down and get resources. This game does not. So if there's a scenario where I had no individuals, let's say none were awake, and my thing was all the way down here, if I want to refresh them, I have to kill somebody. That's annoying. Or if I just had no individuals at all, let's say they just all happen to be dead. Something happened, my people died. Which happens. There's different things that get rid of your people that you have to spend. There is no other action here that I can put a mech on to be able to get resources. So if let's say I only have one person, one scientist chilling here. I put my one scientist out, put my mech out wherever he goes, let's say to get water. Well, now my turn's done. Because I don't have any other people to put anywhere else. Because a vast majority of the buildings require people. There's only very select few that are free actions. This free action wouldn't matter if you don't have people. And there's no other free actions over here that really help you. So that's something I think is significantly missing, where there should be a free action to help me get people or something. There is action on the board, but you have to spend a person, put a mech down to be able to do that. And if you only have a scientist, you can't even do that one. So you can only use certain people down there. So that's something that it wasn't necessarily a huge deficit, but there was a few times where I had a very limited amount of people, and I'm like, well, now I can only take 2 mechs because I need to do 2 other things on my board, and I don't have enough people to put the mechs out. So if you take away the blinking especially, it very significantly limits your choices. Instead of just having something where it's like, oh, put a mech here, get 1 person for free.
I think that's where it definitely comes down to you have to think of the people as a resource as well that you have to manage. If you don't, then yeah, you can end up in a situation where you're screwed.
But at least like other games, there's other ways to get some of the resources.
Yeah.
Like I said, like Ember Heart is like, oh, we didn't have enough grunts to put out all of our things. Oh, I can go take this, get 4 grunts.
Yeah.
So I wish there was something like that here where I could get a person.
Yeah, like if there's a free action where if you had less than certain number of people, you could put that there.
Or even just, not even less than just a free action. Just maybe even once per turn only, like the rest of the free actions. Mm-hmm. You can put it down, but you have to, like, let's say, use a free action token or whatever, but then be able to get a person. Mm-hmm. Maybe it's even a random person, I don't know. But that just seemed like a limitation, because there was one point, I think either you or Aaron, when we did our playthrough, had a bunch of people. I think it was you had a bunch of people towards the end, and I'm like, I have 3. Which is my fault for not managing it better, but there was still no other way for me to get more people. Or I have to spend a whole turn using my person to get a person, and now that wastes a mech.
Well, that's kind of like what I was talking about with the water. Like, if you don't pay attention to your water, you're going to have to use a turn or 2 to prioritize getting water, which then severely limits you that round.
But it's it's never easier to get water than people, because, like, you have the water here, you have these, Aaron and I use these all day long, where we're just like putting, or he uses it way more than I do, just putting it down and gaining so much water. But I don't think any of these get people.
Well, the way you get people when you need them is by your warp tiles.
But it's only 3 people, 1 of each.
Yeah, but that's where
we do the resources too. But
if you use those ahead of time, then you screw yourself. So, like, if you save those for those situations. So again, I think it just comes down to managing. But yeah, they could have something where you like get some sort of. Is this always a scientist on top? Yeah.
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 So that was one of my things that I came across. I will now bring this up because this is more for gameplay than rulebook for me. I hate how they did this. I like how it's not available until after the impact. That makes sense.
Yep.
Logically, impact of meteor, earthquake, whatever. Oh, we're all trying to run for our lives and escape. This book doesn't really say you need to escape. It's just, hey, if you choose to escape, 1, you need to have a requirement met, and then you'll get some points. But if you don't want to escape, no problem. I hate how they do that. I think this should be 100% required to do. That your final action should be this. Because not only is it not required, if I go here, I do this, I get my points, I can still continue playing my turn. Mm-hmm. Makes no sense. I escaped. How am I still doing turns? So that is something where, and other games have done it well, where you've taken that final action and then everyone else just finishes while you're done. Where this should be required to be done by all players, and once you've done it, your game is over.
Or not even required, but like like once you do it, you're done. And if you don't do it, like, get rid of this. This doesn't matter.
Just automatically get my
it shouldn't even be like who does it last. It should just be if you don't do it, you lose points.
Yes, I agree with that too. Yeah. But yeah, I think this needs to be a harsher situation, which again impacted our gameplay because Nick got to the point. He's like, well. Initially, he's like, well, I can't do that. I don't have the ability to get it done on my board.
But I almost did.
But then he's like, okay, whatever. It's only -3. So to me, it needs to be harsher or required that this needs to be a thing. Because it also costs a mech. So that needs to be accounted for when you're doing your final turn, that you need to spend 1 of your mechs there.
And people. If you have
and a person.
Only 2 people.
Yeah, exactly. And you can always blink there. So... Oh, last thing, too, because you pointed this out too, is the objectives. Mm-hmm. I like the objectives. Yep. I also like how if I had, this here, and I had 3 super projects, I had the most super projects, I don't get that points. The glitch is here. Nick can only have 1 super project, and he's in 2nd place, he gets the points now. So it's not even like, if the glitch is there and you have the most, you get nothing and no one else gets anything, it automatically goes to the next person. It just skips you.
Well, it does what you want them to do with the impact. It has a harsher result.
Yeah. And I like that. It's like, not only did I get screwed because I had a glitch there, but now someone else benefited even more than they normally would have.
Mm-hmm. Do you want to close the door for a second? Yeah.
Yeah, so that's my final comment of gameplay. Again, it played well. I thoroughly prefer Ember Heart and how that played better than this.
I agree.
Tricarion, we don't know yet. That's coming next.
Yeah.
But I'm going to give gameplay overall, because we're not including this board, that'll make a difference later. I'm going to give it a 4.
All right. Cuckoo, ka-choo.
All right. So now we will go over the same 4 categories real quick, give our combined scores to let you know how does bad in board games.
Wow. I'm now.
Leroy Brown over here.
Bad board games.
How does... No one's been bad. That's surprising.
I know. Did we have Baddie?
We have Badass.
We had Baddie.
Is that Katarina? Was Baddie? No.
No, she was bold.
She was bold. Yeah, we don't have Baddie.
I think Baddie was the person who is no longer...
No, that wasn't. That was Bitchy. Or something like that. Bitchin'.
I guess not, yeah.
But yeah, so we're going to go over those 4 categories real quick, give you our total scores, and then final scores between both of us, after which we will go over the modules and talk about how the expansions work.
Yep.
First off, taking this back. No, just kidding.
Storage?
Storage. I gave storage a 4.5. Bald gave it a 5. We always round down, so we keep it at a 4.5. Overall, it's really well done. There's trays for everything. Some trays are used for the gameplay as well, which is nice.
Yeah.
The main docking is some of the expansion stuff merges with other stuff, and it's not super easy to get it all sorted out.
Yeah. All right, for Rulebook, I gave it a 4, and Board gave it a 4, so Bald and Board gives it a 4. The Rulebooks are great. There's just some things that are a little unclear in there, and the lack of an appendix really adds a significant amount of time to your game if the super projects specifically are unclear. One appendix book with images of those products and the name, projects, and the name with their explanation would have been super easy to find in alphabetical order. Just boom, there it is, that's what it is, and we move on.
Yep. For design, Ball gave it a 5, I gave it a 4.5. Again, we hold it at that 4.5. Super well done artwork and everything. There was just a few minor things, such as some of the super projects and whatnot that weren't fully clear, which impacted design.
And for gameplay, I give it a 4.5. Board gave it a 4. So Bald and Board Game gives it a 4. Gameplay is fun. There's a lot of avenues you can take to win. There's just a few things regarding the way the game plays, like the impact and like traveling through time, to where the being able to get certain resources if you do find yourself short, to where it feels like it could be better. The time traveling feels a little too restrictive. The impact feels a little too unrestrictive. And the resources feels a little too punishing if you do find yourself behind, and it feels like you just can't catch up.
All right, so final scores. So Anachrony by Mindclash Games as board, I give it a 4 out of 5.
Anachrony by Mindclash Games as Bald, I give it a 4.5.
Therefore, Bald and Board Games gives Anachrony a 4 out of 5.
That does make it a Bald and Board Games certified must-play. It is a must-play, absolutely. And this actually fits perfectly, I think, with our thoughts on Ember Heart with this, to where Ember Heart got a slightly higher score. You can go see why and how in that review video. But I'd agree. Ember Heart, also by Mindclash Games, I think is one that feels tighter, but like in a good way. It feels like they really played through that one a lot to figure out all the different ways that you could do things and to break it and yada yada. And it's just smooth. And it's the same way, everyone can take any kind of angle to get points. Like this one, you can take any kind of angle to get points. But here, there's a few things that kind of trip you up along the way that get in the way of that smoothness. But for the most part, this plays incredibly smooth. It's a great worker placement, resource management game. It's definitely heavier than most, especially if you start adding the modules. But the modules are a fun add if you're looking for more of a challenge. But at its heart, Anachrony is a very fun game that if you like worker placement style games and resource management, you definitely should look into getting. It's a very unique game, especially with that timeline, despite the grievance of not being able to go forward. That whole idea of being able to get a free resource, but then you have to go back in time and restore it, kind of like Captain America and the Infinity Stones, or else there's going to be some sort of paradox. That's amazing. Yeah. It's a very fun concept, and it's a concept thing you have to think about as you're playing. Like, okay, can I go back and do that? And if you do it, you're going to end up getting end game points by increasing, the white track that you have on your player board. Yeah, so definitely worth checking out.
Yep.
All right. So for the modules.
Yeah. So the game has a bunch of modules. So
and we have not played with all of them.
So we'll call out. We're only specifically going to talk about.
Just close.
1, 2, 3 of them, I believe. And the ones that we played with and the ones that are set up. Any others? There's other rule books that go over all of those. Like I said,
the ones we set up that we played with.
Yeah. The Doomsday one we want to try out. We'll give that a try. The objective ones, the anomaly tiles that vary, we want to try.
There's one also where there's extra mechs on the board, so you literally pay resources to get extra mechs to put out and use, which is great. And they don't need workers to use. That solves your problem there.
So to start off with the 3 that we have. So the first one here is the timeline. So the timeline here has a normal side that you would play with, and then it has a B side, we'll call it.
It's called alternate timeline.
Alternate timeline. So that's one of the modules we added in, was to use the alternate timeline. The only difference is player order matters. So you have first player here. Mm-hmm. Whoever's first gets to decide first what they're playing down. Everyone at the same time decides. So like this, for example, first player, they could choose to play 0. And then second player now gets that penalty. Mm-hmm. This is a very clear, easy module. We enjoyed it. It made a fun little extra strategy aspect.
Yeah.
It doesn't really, again, it only adds you flipping the tile upside down.
Yeah, I don't think that I would play without, honestly, this module, because it adds more of a strategic element to where the only strategic element when you play with the normal timeline, I see this in my eye, is do you think you can go back and pay the resources to not have an issue later on? Where this is like, okay, maybe I can't go back and pay that, but if I can get this 2 times for whatever resources put in there, that could really benefit you in this round, so you could go back. Like, it just adds extra layer of depth that I think is absolutely phenomenal for that timeline moment with the warp tiles.
Yes. Second expansion is Fractures of Time, which is this game board. In addition, you have the Path of Unity character and some other things. So the Flux cores aren't normally in the base game. They come with that module. The operators, which are the purple workers, are only with this expansion.
Yep.
So my thoughts on this is I only have played with the Path of Unity as a character. The first time I chose it, the second time I think we randomly did it.
Yep.
I thoroughly enjoy it. I like the fact of this other little board that you can use the flux cores on.
You're not going to shut that door.
I don't want to slam it shut. I do like the fact that there's these other objective cards here that you can gain, and that there's only one, or technology cards that you can gain for other endgame scoring. That's a lot of fun.
Passive abilities
and some passive abilities. And then the blinking aspect. I like the fact that... I'm going to do it right this time.
Close that door. There you go.
I like that there's the blinking aspect added in. I thoroughly think that without blinking, if you were just playing the base game, things would be significantly more challenging. I think the 2-for-1 aspect, where I can put someone down, do something, hop, and do something else, but potentially face a penalty, is worth it. Oh, yeah. So Fractures of Time expansion, by itself, I give a 5 out of 5. I like how they did it. I think it blends really well into the base game.
Yeah, I think I like Fractures of Time. I think when we play, you should definitely try, without playing that person, to see how it plays differently with Fractures of Time.
Well, this is random. The second we played with Aaron, we randomly shuffling Joe's.
Did we?
Yeah, and I just happened to get purple, I think.
No, because I chose this person. We didn't randomly. You just immediately grabbed purple. Like
I did? Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I feel like they're like you're a little bit more catered to it, which makes sense because they come together and stuff. But I like it also. The first time we played with it as well, and I completely screwed myself just because I did not utilize this properly. But the second time we played, I made better use of this. It really comes down to mitigating how many of those whatever the hell they're called glitches end up on your boards. So that way you don't have to focus on removing them later on because it costs water and an operator to remove them. But also, if you actually utilize the operators and get enough operators, it makes blinking that much more beneficial because an operator does not, you don't have to roll for these at all if you're using an operator. So in our second game, I just want to make sure I always had operators. I think I had 2 of them, 2 to 3 I was rotating through to where like, okay, if I know I want to glitch, I'm going to put an operator out for this thing, which is a wild so it can do any of them. And then that'll allow me to glitch to here. And so that is a fun aspect, being able to plan, okay, I'm going to glitch to do this thing, or blink, not glitch. I'm going to blink to do these things. And that is a very fun aspect, is the blinking. I agree that if you didn't have that, it would be potentially more limiting on what you choose. The game definitely would move faster if you didn't have that because you're trying to think of essentially 2 times the amount of turns a lot of times than you are without that. Without that, it's like you put it down, you're done.
Yeah.
Or with that, you're thinking, okay, I'm going to put it here first because I want to blink there. But if they go there, won't be able to do it. So actually, I need to go here first and then go back this way. And so you're trying to think through with one person 2 moves for each of your mechs. But no, I think it's definitely a must add if you're playing with it by itself or with another module that pairs with it really well, for sure.
All right, and our final module is the New Earth module right here.
Pioneers of New Earth.
There we go, Pioneers of New Earth. It adds another little player board off to the side that players will have. Pretty much the overall objective is this player board allows you to utilize a worker to add power strength, so you can gain power. Then
power strength.
Whatever. Then you can come here and fight potential monsters. There is a little card that comes with it that shows you the variance of how many monsters are in the 5+ deck or what their strengths are.
So you know your odds.
Oh, they're not monsters. They're just cards. We'll call them monsters.
They're just events.
Yeah, like fight. I just always think monster.
Yeah.
And then you can potentially, if you do it first, you'll get stronger. If you do it way later, it takes more.
Yep.
I like the concept of you can do this. Hey, 5, cool. I passed. I get some resources. I failed. I owe resources. And potentially here you still get victory points. There's a few things I don't like. Number 1, if I didn't have 2 water, what do I pay? There should be, if you're going to fully go down this route, there should be a thing where, like, if you fail and you can't pay it, similar to Emberheart, you lose victory points or something. Where, like, okay, unless you could pay this, you don't get the victory points on the bottom.
It might say that in there.
I think we read through it, and I think there was nothing that specifically clarified. There's no negative ones.
We never ran into that situation. No, you just lose if you had victory points.
But I was like, if you had 0, because there's no negative one, so it's not in the book. I think I looked that up because I specifically looked. I was curious
because we definitely need to do it like ourselves. Like,
I looked up. But yeah, there's nothing I saw that says like if you can't pay a resource for anything, that you can lose victory points. I think that should be a thing because I think that would actually benefit the game board too. Like, oh, I don't have water, I can still go there, but it's going to cost me a victory point because I can't pay that water. So that's both the main game and this. The second thing I don't like, I'm still going to be on this horse, whatever it's called, is beat a dead horse. There we go. Because we talked about this in the playthrough.
I'm going to be on this horse. Beating it while it's dead. You're just sitting on a dead horse corpse punching in the head. God.
Is, in my opinion, if you're going to have something where you're gaining power, in this case, the max power a player should be able to gain should be the same for all players. I understand that some players can gain power easier, similar to like any other game. But in this one, each player's max is different. So when it comes to the 10+, I have a significantly harder time beating a 16 or an 18 compared to some of the other players who can almost get 12 to 18 off of their player board. I can only think I get here, I think we did the math here, I can get like 12. And now I have to roll a 6 to get to 18. So that was one major thing I didn't like about this board, where if I... but still I need to roll 4 or higher.
Yeah.
where other players could already have 14 go here, and then they only have to roll a 2. So that was the one thing I didn't like about this board.
I mean, I gotta get to 14.
16, exactly, and you only have to roll 2 versus...
Yeah.
Which is 5, 6 for most humans on a die. So I don't like that aspect where I am fully relying on this die on top of doing everything else to get the better resources or better outcomes. Mm-hmm. So if I was going to give this a 1 to 5, I give this a 3.5. I thoroughly like Fractures of Time. I don't necessarily like or would want to add this one in the future.
Mm-hmm. I disagree. Because you don't have to go for the 10 plus. You can just 5 it up to get resources and stuff from this one and just keep banging these out, especially when it came down to the objective of having more.
Well, I know, that was just for the objective.
Like, when you can have the objective, like, you can just do 5s to get more. The 10s will help you add more, but the consequence if you don't win is significantly harsher than on the 5s. Like, you have to kill people, you have to go back and lose points that way, you know. So I think that's where it balances out, is sure, I can get up to a higher value than you, but it's significantly harder for me to get to a higher value than for you to get to a higher value. All you have to do is spend 1, 2, 3, 4 of any resource, a flux, and you're at your max value.
But that's 5. I have to spend 5 people. You have a free action every time with 1 water cost only.
Yeah, but I had to spend water still, which water is a valuable resource. That's where it bounces out.
But that allows you can double tap. So, like, you can go here, get water, do it. Mm-hmm. I have to put a person down, do it. Now I've lost a person. It costs me a full person every time, where it doesn't cost you a person at all. Let's say you have the water. It doesn't cost you a person at all. Now you can do more things on the board than I can.
For adding up, but still, like, I have the 2 purple resources, which there's rarely any that are out here.
It's definitely hard to get resources, yeah.
That's what I'm saying. That's where it's harder.
Yeah.
It's sure you have to spend a person, but you can literally designate 1 person that you always put on there. You can have...
They have to be awake and everything.
Yeah, but you can literally just have your people and just, like, put them on there. They're good. They come back. And, like, so it's just about... It's knowing the person you're playing with. And if you always have a person you can put on there, then you're fine. So, like, when you do this, they come awake. So you can literally do this with 1 person to get somebody, put them on that, they come over. As long as you have your credit card guy, administrator, ready to go down there with some water, then you can pull them all over and you can do it again. So it's significantly easier for you to get up higher than for me to get up higher, and all I get is the additional 2 points. And I still have to roll fucking die to hopefully get up there. But that's where, like, for you, if you were going to this track, you would max that out, you would make sure you were the first one to go there, and then you would go for probably the 5s until you're maxed out, and then go for the 10. So I think, again, it comes down to, for me, and why I don't have a problem with it, is because of that balance in actually getting up there. Because for me now, like, water is just as valuable as a person is. So if you're not getting water like I wasn't, that 1 water is a very hard choice to make. It's not just a free action where it's like, oh, it's a free action to do by itself. It's like free action and another resource. There's shit. If I do that, now I can't do this stuff over here, because if I do this first, you go here, now I can't do that, yada yada. So it limits me more that way.
Yeah, I agree. It decently balances the difficulty of getting the higher point values of strength on your thing.
Yeah.
But it's still the factor of, at the end of the day, I have to roll a 4 or higher to beat the 18. If I have everything on this card. If you have everything, you do not.
But that's also where you can control your luck. So you make sure you also get breakthroughs, just like I would. So what we also can do on here is you can put breakthroughs on. So when you put breakthroughs on, you get to look at that number of cards. If I have 3 breakthroughs, I can look at the 3 cards, and you choose the one that you're gonna be more likely to win.
But let's say I had 3. Yeah. I draw 16, 16, 18. Yeah, 16, 16, 18. I still have to roll a die. There's no possible way for me to have a 16 guaranteed.
Yeah.
Where, like, you can get to, what, 14, 16 guaranteed.
Yeah, as long as it's the first one there.
Yeah. So. And, like, anyway, Aaron's, too, his had the boost of +2 for every breakthrough he put down.
Oh, yeah, that was crazy.
So he could get to 18. So that's my main issue is, to me, the max for every player should be exactly identical. The difficulty to get to that max could change, but the max should be the same.
Yeah. Yep. I get that. Yeah. But I like it. I think it was a fun thing to have on there. I don't need it to be on there, like, to play with. I don't think it adds as much as Fractures of Time or the alternate timeline does, but it's definitely a fun. If you're looking for an added thing to potentially focus on, then that is definitely one of them. Yeah, I don't know how the other two factions stack up when it comes to getting points, but yeah, if that's the lowest one, then it's like, yeah, I wouldn't choose that one probably to play as if we're doing that. All right, so.
But if you've played any of the expansions, let us know your thoughts. If you played Doomsday or some of the other little modules, let us know. We'll get it to the table eventually, but it'll take some time.
Yeah, the Doomsday and the custom the custom objectives I'm excited for.
Yeah, I want custom anomalies too.
Oh yeah, the anomaly thing as well. Where you get those,
custom,
it has like a
variety of anomalies. Yeah.
Yeah. I think out of these three, I probably would rank my order from favorite to least favorite would be Alternate Timeline, then Fractures of Time, then probably Pioneers of Newerth.
Same rating.
Yeah. Cool. All right, everybody. Well, you have the lid right there.
Upside down? No, it's not.
Is it? No? We're good? Well, thank you for joining us here at Bald and Board Games. We gave you a review and our thoughts on the modules of Anachrony by Mindclash Games. I'm Bald.
I'm Bored.
We will see you in the past.
Oh.